There's a lot of credence that lends it to be a 3D animated either movie or series. It is definitely 3D animated.
Nope, I was wrong. It's actually going to be a live-action film called Waveborn, featuring this girl as the main character, Rez, and featuring this concept art as Scraper, because Ghost hasn't actually finished the model yet, but they will eventually.
It's really interesting to see that they're going the live action route, which hopefully means that it will be good, because with like a 3D animated thing, you have a bit more like control as far as acting and things go.
Ghost is working on it, and they are the VFX studio that back in the day worked on Bionicle's animations for their commercials, and they have worked on many big budget films, like most of the newer Star Wars films. So it's hard to discern how big the budget is for this film, because as far as we know, Rez is the only live-action character, while it seems like all of the other elements will be CG, as the world of Rebel Nature just contains robots and biomechanical beings.
What about that one dude who was in the pickup truck with the tree? Wasn't there, like, cowboy dude?
Well, yeah, I mean, the drone guys, maybe. I think this movie will cover the first arc of Rez's story, so it'll just have her on Rig 21, where she has her whole backstory, how she got there, and how she's been growing up, and then when she blows up the rig, probably at the end, as a climax to the film, she's just at the dock of the safe pod. I'm not sure how expansive it'll be. From the new mood teaser that Faber had put on his channel, he had all this live action footage of this particular rig, and you see the actress in this very stylized image. So that's just what makes me think that they've got a location, and then they'll shoot mainly at that location, or generate it through computers. I don't know. We honestly don't have much information about the film.
I don't think they would stick to one location for the entire film, because unless it's a short film, that's incredibly hard to keep a regular length, hour, 15-minute long movie in one location.
Yeah.
Unless there's like a lot of different things going on in that one location, which as far as we know, there isn't a whole lot that happens.
Or unless it's just really slow paced, which seems unlikely.
Right, because like what happens on the rig? You get the introduction with Rez, and it's like she's a baby, and there's a big robot. Scraper takes her in, and then montage of her growing up. Now she's like, what's this rig actually for? Oh no, it's controlled by evil AI mining out the planet's resources. I'll destroy that. She destroys it, and then Scraper's almost destroyed, but is he? I see that as more of like an Act 1.
You might be right.
I was able to just summarize that in like a minute, and drawing that out, that's not more than 20 minutes of footage, really. Obviously, you could add things in and stretch that out more, but to a full-length movie? I don't know. But the question is this movie going to be full-length? I'm not entirely convinced it will be. I could see it as being like a short film, like half an hour.
Faber describes it as a film, but I don't think the words feature length are in there, so it could possibly just be a short film. All we know right now is that they're working on a teaser where it's Rez as a baby, and she reaches out and touches Scraper's finger, and that symbolizes the connection between nature and technology. How well that teaser will do, we'll find out whenever. It's been a year, actually, since we released our Rebel Nature modcast, and Christian Faber, the man, the myth, the legend, he actually watched it and shared it on the Faber Files Facebook page, which was incredible to me. I was kind of ecstatic for like a whole week. I was just like, I couldn't believe it. This actually happened. And actually recently he liked our Faber Files modcast as well. So if he watches this video, thank you, Faber.
Hi.
Yeah, hi.
If you're watching this, Christian Faber, please... hi.
We got some things right, like you said. You get many basic bricks right for the puzzle of this open-ended near-future universe.
Get it because it's basic bricks because Lego?
Rebel Nature is actually a Lego theme in disguise. It's actually Bionicle G3.
Oh man. Get hyped.
Okay, so we got 2 new videos from Faber in more recent times. One was the mood teaser that was updated and had a bunch of new images, and the other was the Rebel vlog. In the mood teaser video, we got this image of like a conspiracy map where there's all these pins and strings attached to various sketches of places that presumably Rez has created to connect everything together, this strange new world. What it confirms is that we were right about there being other rigs. The numbers actually mean something. On the map, you can see Rig 19 and Rig 20. Rig 21, which is where Rez starts her journey, is nicknamed Goodman Rig, and there's actually a location called Goodman Rock that seems to be some sort of base that might be abandoned. That's a bit peculiar. Why is it called Goodman Rig? Do the Goodman own Rig 21? Are they that good, these men?
Goodman actually has its origins as a title. Essentially the same thing as saying like Mr. So like rather than saying Mr. John Winthrop, you would say Goodman Winthrop. That could be part of it, but I highly doubt it is. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably a last name, and I'd say it's probably like, I'm Mr. Goodman of the Goodman Corporation, and we're doing this for the good of all men.
It could be Rez's original name. Her name right now is Rez Waveborn, so it could have been Rez Goodman. So maybe Goodman are her deceased parents. We'll have to wait and see. But it also mentions this other place that's underneath the rig called the Deep Hollow, and there's actually an image of Rez swimming with our favorite character, Whale M, near this kind of looks like a huge jellyfish almost, like this huge tentacly
It looks like Mari Nui.
Oh man.
No, no. What is a Bionicle? Not this.
Is the
Certainly not.
Bionicle nature? We may never know. In the Moo teaser, there's a particular image that flashes for like a couple of seconds, where it's an image of what appears to be Scraper's hand, or maybe it's another maintenance robot's hand. It's broken off, submerged. That, for quite a while, kind of recontextualized how I saw a lot of the concept art, where it was just Rez and Scraper was nowhere to be found. So I had assumed that maybe at some point Scraper dies, or he gets blown up when Rez explodes the rig, like he's caught in that explosion. Maybe he saves Rez at the last second. But in a more recent image, we actually see this new biomechanical creature, and who else but Scraper in the background. And he is swimming. He is not drowning. No. Back in 2015, Faber had released this sketch of Scraper that had a bunch of stats and special features, and one of them was full underwater capability till 3,000 meters with a subgear attached. So he had always been able to swim. So this, my friends, is but a red herring. So Scraper will not die.
It doesn't look like a fish to me. I mean, the colors are a little hard to see because it's dark, but it looks more like a hand than a fish to me, personally.
Is Scraper actually a fish? We may never
He could be a mech suit for a fish.
You're saying this is a red herring and that Scraper can't die because you see him in this picture, but who says this is chronological? Who says that he doesn't die later on? Like he's underwater and then he gets blown to bits by a missile. You never know.
I don't know. I guess I'd assume that since he's the second main character that he won't. Until like later on in the story, maybe. In a lot of the concept art, you just see Rez by herself. So maybe it's part of her journey to grow up or whatever. Her father figure dies and she has to figure out ways to survive or something. Quite a few angles it could go. Also, it could just be another robot, like the same kind of model that Scraper is. I don't assume he's a unique snowflake robot.
Wow, Waj. How dare you make assumptions like that?
I know. I'm just like making so many assumptions out the wazoo, but it seems likely, man. In the original episode that we did, there were a few things that we didn't bring up because I didn't think they were, like, that relevant. One of them was this concept art for Rez's best friend, who is an octopus, and she names it Q, CUE because when Scraper finds Rez, she's a baby and she's in this pod that actually has the word rescue on it. So that's where Scraper got the name for Rez, is just like the first part of rescue. And then, consequently, Rez then names the octopus Q.
I didn't realize on the graph paper that this is all drawn on. Coil Industries. Did we talk about that last time?
Yeah, so like Coil is a company that exists in Rebel Nature. Whether or not they are an entity that is villainous, we're not quite sure. But it is quite interesting because all of this is written on Coil graph paper. So is Coil where all of the technology had spawned from?
Maybe this Coil Industries is the one who's mining all the stuff and has all these rigs. Maybe these rigs are all coil rig. Coil rig. Oh,
Yeah.
as in like an
It's not an
oil rig.
It's a coil rig.
Please, Faber, if you're watching this, don't.
Please
Don't
do.
do that.
Actually, seriously.
Please change
Yeah.
all your plans to avoid that pun, no matter what you do.
Please don't.
No, let's do it.
Please keep it.
Anyway, so
Actually, don't, because I love it.
one other thing that we didn't talk about was how Rez has this ability to actually mind control robots, and she's practicing on this little drone. My inclination is that she'll use this power to control Scraper, probably to access his big hands and use them to hit enemy drones. But it could be used for all kinds of things. Maybe she would have the ability to sort of hack into creatures since they're part mechanical. Actually, it kind of puts into question, is she part mechanical?
I think she has to be. Maybe she's got some sort of like brain chip. As a small child, she was like, let's do an experiment on this small child here at Coil Industries. And the parents are like, no! And then they like kill them. And then they're like, let's make this small baby. And then for whatever reason, the baby somehow escapes.
That actually make a lot of sense, because like, if she was an experiment and then they were able to fit her into a pod and ship her away because she was in danger, that actually would be a probable backstory.
In the last video we did a year ago, I was like really arbitrarily critical for no reason. Now that we're seeing slightly more developed ideas that are making me think I'm gonna like it better than I thought then, the idea about Rez and Scraper like having this connection and like there being a connection between technology and nature makes me think it's not gonna be like Avatar and be like humans and technology are all terrible and we've all got to go back to nature, you know, something like that. But it sounds like that's not what they're going for.
Yeah, actually, especially with the new concept art that we had gotten with new locations, there's this huge icy area where you actually see this drone that I believe they call it like a vulture drone that is going back to their nest to feed their hatchlings that are mechanical.
Yeah, and then obviously there's like the mechanical octopus.
There's dragonflies?
Yeah, there's dragonflies. This robot here is like an autonomous robot that had come all the way from the ocean or had like traversed the ocean to then stumble upon this huge forest area and come into contact with seemingly 100% biological life. And I suppose the robot being in the ocean, traversing it, would come across hybrids, since that's what we've been exposed to so far. And the only fully organic creatures we've seen have been the octopus that Rez has, is fully organic, encased in an orb. It's an orb with like a jetpack. Like jet thrusters on it. This dragonfly and Whale M and Rez herself. And probably those guys in the desert with the carrying a tree truck. There's all kinds of mixes of biological and mechanical in these.
Yeah, as I've said before, I dig that a lot. But I just want to quickly say that I think you're misinterpreting these two images, Watch. Clearly, we see a picture of Kowaki with a gecko flying back to the gecko nest. Down below, we see a Matoran with some Nui Rama, a four-legged Matoran.
When Faber had released this image on Facebook, one of the first comments was like, is this a Nui Rama? And so, like, people will not stop with the Bonkle references. So we talked about Escape Rig 21, which was the app game Temple Run clone, and we have heard literally nothing about that, as far as I can tell. Back in 2016, Faber had made a post that said that the game was in its final testing phase. My inclination is that it's finished, because games like that probably don't take that long to develop since there's already a mold for them to fit. My thought is that they're going to release this Escape Rig 21 game simultaneously with Cryoshell's album, Next to Machines. There's a lot of cross-collaboration between Cryoshell and Christian Faber. Faber is like the marketing guy. He's on the videos that have been posted on Cryoshell's channel, so he's definitely managing parts of it. And the songs that have been released so far, we've got 2 that pertain to Rebel Nature. One being Nature Girl, which is a cover of a song called Nature Boy, but with some of the lyrics changed. Have you guys listened to these?
Yeah, I have. I seem to remember I wasn't a huge fan of Nature Girl. Don't Look Down was alright.
I don't really like Nature Girl all that much. I find it a bit slow as well. It's just not to my liking.
I am a hipster, so I liked Nature Girl better than Don't Look Down. Nature Girl felt like an intro track on an album. It starts out calm, mysterious, intriguing. It builds up tension. Don't Look Down was fine. It was like more of a standard pop single kind of thing, but I didn't think the chorus was that catchy, personally.
I want to quickly talk about the fact that the Escape Rig 21, the image that you posted there, is straight up that Coil logo right above Rig 21.
It actually says that, yeah. Coil automation. Coil is everywhere.
I think we can pretty safely say the Coil is the one who's behind all the rigs.
Yeah, I think so. They seem to be behind a lot of the technology and this whole conspiracy plan that they have, the locales in the world that they've set up for whatever purpose.
It'll probably be like a sort of thing where they're not bad, they're just misguided.
Faber has a lot of plans for Rebel Nature that he's mentioned. One is creating museum and science projects to sort of get at the educational value of Rebel Nature's message. We haven't really seen much of that in any capacity. What we have seen from the Rebel vlog is the VR experience, where it's set on the dock of the safe pod, and you can crouch down and pick up this mechanical arm, and you can draw items closer in. I don't think it'll be like that huge of a deal. It seems much more like a tech demo. It doesn't seem like there will be a huge story point in this virtual reality experience. It's just kind of to see the world, what it would look like in virtual reality, just cuz.
VR is always seen as like, this is the future of entertainment, and all these people hopping on the VR train, I don't know. It scares me a little bit, because I don't want virtual reality for the sake of virtual reality. For the same reason I don't want a bunch of low quality mobile games, because that's where we're at right now with the mobile game market, is that there's 10,000 bajillion garbage games out there. And like, sure, there might be like one unique and interesting game in the mix.
There are also 10 billion crummy mobile VR games.
There's that also.
The games for Rebel Nature, I don't think they'll be that deep. They don't seem like it. As I think you said in the past, they're just gonna be a way to advertise it. Hopefully it'll be effective. But the movie, out of the media that has been presented, seems to be more promising. But again, we'll have to wait and see.
I'm sure Faber knows exactly what he's doing. But like, again, the reason so many people have asked, well, what is Rebel Nature, is because currently Rebel Nature is a concept. And the way that that concept is being shared, now there's VR experience, mobile game, you've got all these different things, and it's like, what makes this so hard to talk about in a serious and deep way is the fact that it's so early in development and concept, and for all we know, half of this could be changed before it's actually released.
I mean, some stuff had been changed. Like, in 2014, the name for Q was 8 ATO. A lot of stuff can change in several years. We don't know how much of it will still be relevant to what the actual content is.
Well, at any rate, the core concepts that I can't see changing at all is the mixture of the organic and inorganic, which is my favorite thing.
So that's Rebel Nature again, revisited.
If Christian Faber, if you watch this, you are very cool and you are very good at what you do. Please continue doing what you're doing, because we're anxious to see what happens with the thing that you are creating, which is called Rebel Nature, starring Res Waveborn and Scraper, the robot who has big hands. If you could make another robot with big hands, I would love it very much. Or just one big hand.
And cut.
Just a robot with one big hand.
Okay.
And like 2 tiny little legs. I would love it.
Alright.
Thank you.